Hello, how are you all doing? I would like you please to give your teacher a kind of thumb up or sideways, show how you're feeling today. Okay, and we're going to have a bit of a mindful moment. I want you to think of one good thing that has happened to you today. It doesn't have to be in school. It could be at home. It could just be mum giving you a big cuddle before you left for school today. It might be that it's sunny. It might be that somebody smiled at you on the playground, or your friend invited you to play, or it might be you've just done your favorite lesson and you really enjoyed your maths. Okay, so share that one thing with the other person sitting next to you. Okay, well done. Now, that is a mindful moment because we're not thinking about what's for tea, or we're not thinking about what else we've done in the day. We're thinking about something good and we're concentrating on something good. And that's really, really important because it helps you to feel better. It helps you to feel better about yourself. So I am going to tell you, let's think, my mindful moment today. I started the day with a really lovely breakfast. I had lemon curd on toast and I had a really nice cup of coffee. And it was all nice and peaceful. I really enjoyed it. There you go. That's it. It doesn't have to be a really big deal. It can be something really, really small. A mindful moment. And these things are really important because if you get into the habit of doing this on a really regular basis, there's lots of scientific research to say it improves your mental health. Now, something else that improves your mental health and really, really helps with your learning is sleep. Okay, I'm not asking you to go to sleep in class, don't do that. But sleep is really good because your brain can't work effectively without sleep. And if you're going to learn, you need to sleep. So we were talking about our learning bus on Monday, and we talked about doing things on time, getting there on time. And today we're going to think about sleep. Okay, so can you please put your hand up and tell your teacher what time you went to bed? Put your hand up if you went to bed at 7 o'clock. Put your hand up if you went to bed at 8 o'clock. 9 o'clock. Later? Well, we need a good night's sleep. We really need a good night's sleep. So I'm going to tell you a story about somebody who didn't get a good night's sleep and was too tired as a result of it. And this is a story about somebody called Chris, who was playing football, and the whistle blew. Mr. Jackson blew his whistle and shouted, "Come on, everyone, gather around. Well done. That was a really good training session. You've all worked really hard. I'm really pleased. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to put up a list on the board with the names of the team that's going to be playing on Saturday at the knockout tournament. I know you won't all be able to play this time, I'm sorry, but don't worry, you're sure to have a chance of playing for the school team at some point this season, especially if you keep up this level of training." Chris trudged back to the changing rooms. He'd been trying for the last year to be picked for the team. He'd been practicing really hard and hoped he'd done enough to be spotted by Mr. Jackson. He also wanted to make his dad feel proud of him. Chris didn't see his dad every day. He lived with his mum and two little sisters, with her new partner, David. He got to see his dad every other weekend, and that was fine. But sometimes his dad was just a bit busy with his new family. The twins were really good footballers. They both played for their school team. Chris knew his dad enjoyed football. He just wanted to be picked for the team so he could make him feel proud of Chris too. Chris went home and plonked himself on the sofa to watch TV. He got homework to do, but he could do that after he'd eaten his tea later on. And soon he was swallowed up by family life. His two little sisters were demanding that he should play with them in the back garden after tea. They were really fond of being chased, and their big brother was very much in demand. Chris enjoyed playing with his sisters, but he wished they were a bit bigger and that they could play football. Now that would be fun. He couldn't wait until the morning to find out whether or not he'd been picked for a place in the team. Getting to sleep was really hard. Chris thought he was lucky. He got his own room because his little sister shared. He got his own TV and his own Xbox. And once he'd done his homework, he often played on the Xbox until quite late. His mum was so busy looking after his sisters, she tended to leave him to sort himself out at the bedtime. She sent him up to his room at the right time, but often didn't check on him until she went to bed herself. So Chris was quiet in his room because he got his headphones and he didn't disturb anyone else in the house. And that meant he was often quite late before he went to sleep. Chris didn't realize that because he didn't get enough sleep, sometimes he was rather tired the next day. When he was tired, he couldn't run as fast, think as quickly, or act as quickly as he might do. And the next day there was the list, and Chris looked down the list twice before he realised that his name was there. Wow, brilliant. He'd been picked. He couldn't wait to tell his dad. And the match was on Saturday, and this weekend he was with his mum. He'd have some real news to tell his dad next time he went there to stay. The week passed in a blur. Chris was so excited, but every night he found it even harder to sleep, and by Friday he was exhausted. Mr. Jackson had a last-minute coaching session on Friday lunchtime, went over the tactics they'd use in the game. Chris couldn't help it. He struggled, but eventually he gave the biggest yawn, just as Mr. Jackson looked at him. Well, Chris, I hope you're more alert tomorrow. I recommend an early night for you. We need everyone to be at their best. It's a knockout tournament, and we'll be playing at least 3 matches, which can be very tiring. Chris went home at the end of the day feeling really strange. He was very excited, but a bit worried too. His mum sent him up to bed at the right time, but he lay in bed watching a film until really late. And in the morning, his head felt like it was full of cotton wool. Peep! The whistle blew, the match started, and Chris was playing in defence. It was his job to make sure the other team didn't get close enough to goal to take a shot. He made a couple of very good tackles in the first half and heard Mr. Jackson shout across the field, "Well done, Chris, keep it up, lad." It was a good first half, and both the teams were very evenly matched. Chris was kept very busy defending, running around, marking his opponents, and then just before half-time, Chris's team scored a goal. After a short break, it was all go again. Chris was kept running around, his legs began to feel like lumps of lead. He could feel himself slowing down and just couldn't seem to catch up with the other team when they had the ball. He felt like he was running through sand, but they were lucky, and in the end the score was 1-0 to Chris's team. Chris sat down on the grass. This was really hard work. But before he'd fully recovered, off they went again to play their next match. This one was much harder. Chris's opponent looked older, was much taller, and could run and turn really quickly. Chris just couldn't keep up with him. After 10 minutes, a goal shot into the back of their net. "Come on, everyone, mark your men," shouted Mr. Jackson. It went from bad to worse. Chris knew he wasn't playing well. He was so tired, he just didn't have any energy at all. And at half-time, they were losing 4-1. Mr. Jackson came over. "Right, lads, I'm going to make a few changes. Chris, I'll pull you off this half and bring one of our substitutes on. You look a bit tired, and I'm sure Armin would like to have a go out there." He patted Chris on the back, but Chris was bitterly disappointed. He sat down on the grass to watch the rest of the match, and sure enough, he could see that Armin was much faster and more agile. He really marked his players well, and the other teams didn't manage to score any more goals. Eventually, the score was 4-4. It was a draw. And because Chris was a fair sports person, he went over to Armin at the end of the match, shook hands, and congratulated him on playing really well. "Oh, thanks, Chris," said Armin. "You played well in your first match as well." "I was just so tired, I couldn't seem to move my legs." "Well, what time do you go to bed then?" said Armin. "My mum makes me turn the light out at 8 o'clock. "Well," said Chris, "I go to bed at 8, but sometimes I don't get to sleep until 10 or 11 o'clock. And Armin laughed. "Wow, that's so late. My mum's always going on about how important it is to get a good night's sleep. She says early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. I get at least 10 hours sleep every day, or every night." And just at that moment, Mr. Jackson came over. "Well, boys, we need to win this next match in order to have a chance of going forward to the next tournament. We'll have to make sure we're playing the best team we've got." Chris put up his hand. "Excuse me, sir. I think Armin should play this last match. He's much faster and he's playing better than me today." Mr. Jackson smiled. "Well, Chris, I can see you're going to make a good coach yourself one day. I think that's probably the right decision." Chris smiled back ruefully. "Thank you, sir. I've realised I need to get more regular sleep now so that I can be my best to play well. But don't worry, I'll be challenging Armin for a place on the team next time." It was a hard lesson to learn, but Chris was a sensible lad. He began to turn his own light off a little bit earlier every night. And, he woke up refreshed, ready to face the day and every new challenge. He felt brighter, he felt more alert. And not only did he have more energy for his football, all his other lessons and activities improved as well. He became a regular member of the football team, and because of his fair and sensible approach, he was even made captain for the last 2 matches of the season. Now, that really was some good news to share with his dad. So then we've got a story about how much going to bed early has an impact. And I bet everybody here has had some kind of argument or been nagged a bit by people at home going, get to bed, you need to turn your light out. And you've gone, oh, but I don't want to. But actually, it really helps if you go to bed earlier. It really helps if you have a good night's sleep, because it makes it better in school. It can make you feel better, make you feel happier, make you feel less grumpy. And it can give you more energy, because sleep is your body's way of resting and regaining that energy that you can use to play football or to ride your horse or to do whatever you do, to run around with your mates and have a good time. So one for absolutely everybody in school. It doesn't matter what age you are, everybody needs to go to bed at that good time. And particularly important for our year 6 children who are going to high school soon and thinking about the amount of energy they're going to need for their day as well. Have a lovely rest of the day, guys. I will see you all soon. Bye-bye.